Hey, what's going on, everybody? How we doing? Diverse, Turf Gaming, Mag from Metaline, World Challenge. How you doing, guys?
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, hello.
Welcome, welcome.
Hey guys,
Sweet.
Nice to be, nice to be here. We wait for a bit more, right? So
Yeah,
more.
yeah, we'll wait for a few more companies to show up. But I'd like to get to know you guys a little bit while we wait on them. Diverse. What's your name?
You can
hi.
call me Jake.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, you can call me Jake.
Jake. What's up, Jake? How
Yeah,
you doing?
how you doing, man? Doing pretty great. We've been working under the hood for a while now, and we're really excited to start sharing more about um, our game to the communities.
Ooh, sounds juicy. I can't wait to get into it. Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Nice to have you, and nice to meet you.
we're glad to.
Nice. And Turf Gaming. Who do we got behind the account?
Hi guys, this is Dibyo and I'm the founder of Turf. Um,
You
Yeah,
said you said Bill. I'm sorry.
no, it's Dibyo, Dibyo. I know it's hard.
Bebu.
You can call me Dibs actually. Dibs, Dibs.
Got you. Okay. Sorry about that. Thanks, man. Dibs. Nice to meet you, man. Pleasure to have you.
The same here, man. Would love to showcase what we are building. We are specifically in the esports industry that is seen as a breakthrough in the Web3 gaming that's coming up. Would love to talk more and showcase what we got.
Nice. Can't wait to get into that. That's a massive, massive market. And I was just on a
Yeah.
space the other day. They were talking about, the how big Web3 is going to propel that industry. So excited to get into that. And Mag from Metaline. What's up, Mag?
Hi, this is Meg from Line. So we are an platform with fully on-chain games with four functions. Mainly, we focus on some kind of fully on-chain games that we create. And we have our forum, our incubation program, as well as AI-feeded Xviewer, which is fully on-chain game data analysis tools, which are all provided by Metaline X. So I'd like to connect to all kinds of GameFi projects and see any kind of partnerships that we are looking forward to.
Nice. Excited to get into that. Nice to meet you, Mag. And pleasure to have you. And of course, Metaline.
Thank you.
Nice. And Soulbound. What's up?
Hi, I'm Chewy, and I work for Soulbound, a sticky social gaming platform with emphasis on sticky. We've got Sticker Marketplace where artists can make their stickers and sell them and trade them. We have live streaming in our platform and loads of other things as well that we can talk about in a bit.
Very, very cool. I'm excited to get into that. And you said stickers. The
Yeah,
community can make stickers and then trade them and offer them as
Yeah, so
as
at the
value.
moment, what you can do is actually by connecting your wallet, you can with the current NFTs within your wallet, you can actually fractionalize them. So and then stick them onto people's posts on our platform as well. So basically, and whilst you're doing that, you're earning drip points, and your drip points will inform the airdrop that you're going to get in the future. So yeah.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, there's so many ways to offer the rewards, and I just talked to a company. I'm not sure if you are working with the same ones, but their point system is like called drips. And it's
Is that
awesome.
Drip House? Is
Actually, I
that
think
Drip
it
House?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, Drip House is pretty cool. It's like Yeah, I'm on it as well. You get free NFTs daily, and you sort of like roll how many drip points you're going to get, and then you give the drip points back to the artists who earn from that as well. So yeah, it's a pretty cool platform.
Amazing. Yeah, there's just it just shows you the customization that can come from these ecosystems. You can just do anything with them. But nice to meet you, Chewy. Thanks for coming and pleasure to have you. Awesome. And World Challenge Game. He just came up. What's going on, guys? How you doing?
Hey, hello everyone. Sorry, I wasn't listening for some reason until I became speaker, and I don't know. Well, I guess we're introducing ourselves, no? If I'm right.
Yes, please. By all means.
Okay. My name is Tony. I'm the CSO of World Challenge Game. Nice to meet you all here today. And well, for those that don't know the project, we're a board game that is coming to Web3 space, and also it's coming to Web2 space. So it's all the transition from a board game to first as Web2 game, as did Monopoly Go or Risk, and also with Web3 integration. And now we're launching very, very soon the Web2 version that will be available the next month. So really excited about the space and really excited about the project too.
Nice. Well, pleasure to have you, Tony, and can't wait to get more into the World Challenge game. Sounds very interesting. So thanks for coming, and pleasure to chat.
Thank you.
Nice. Well, it looks like we have everybody. Like I said, thanks for coming, everybody. Pleasure to have you. And we're going to get into game evolution. It's very interesting to me because this space has been evolving since the early '90s, early 2000s. It really started getting very hyped. With the MMORPGs coming out like World of Warcraft, Maple Story, RuneScape, all these like massive games that kind of started pointing us in the direction. And then we have these Web3 game ecosystems that are going to completely transform the way gamers are doing things, and earning and playing. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And this is why we have these speakers up here. We got them together using the Collab Hub. That's where we came in. We're all about creating organic collaborations, so we can work together and grow, and also to join spaces and to learn from the experts that are in the space that are evolving and innovating the things that we're going to be interacting with now and in the future. So super excited to have you guys. Thank you so much for coming, and let's get right into it. So like I said, this is all about Web3 gaming. And my first question to all of you, and this is an open question. You guys can raise your hand or just jump in here and bring your insights, whatever you would like. But my first question to you guys is, what are the most promising tech advancements currently being developed in Web3 gaming right now? Yeah, please, Soulbound.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think it's kind of like integration at the moment. I think one thing that we saw in the last few years was a lot of Web3 games working in silo, in these little silos, and it didn't kind of like really build up on the hype on the games front and stuff. And I think what we started to see this year was just basically more collaborative kind of like integrations and stuff. So certainly from our point of view, because we're sort of like a social platform with games integrated into it, any game can integrate into the platform. But we also offer things like battle pass systems, which could be integrated into the game, and sort of like you're basically producing user created content that then comes onto a platform. So with that, I just feel that there's a lot of other kind of companies doing other kind of like tech like us as well, and they're integrating into games, making the game developers' lives a lot easier as well, like AI companies and things like that as well. And I just think that some of the tech has kind of like evolved to the point where it's making lives a lot easier. And also, Web3 kind of like is slowly sort of creeping out of the bubble that it's been in as well, especially when we start to look at some of the games that have started to creep up in the top 100 in Epic Game Store, for instance, as well. Web3 games. So I think yeah, it's definitely collaboration, I think.
Yeah, I agree that the user integration with the games is quite hype right now, as well as the people start to realize the importance of ownerships of digital assets. And what Nederline X is building is like we're believing that the GameFi model is kind of evolving into from a Web 2.5 game into a Web 3 game, and as well as a fully on-chain game platform. And it's like how once upon a time, like nobody knows about DeFi, nobody knows about Uniswap. And what we believe is that the GameFi industry or the sector of GameFi will finally evolve one day. And what we're foreseeing is that the fully on-chain system, the full chain technology from the very basic technologies, applications, and all that, as well as some AI that would change the speed of the GameFi and to build some really Web3 game in a way that users can have their fully autonomy and fully ownership of their digital assets.
Yes, Turf, please.
I totally agree with what Mac just mentioned, right? So there has been an evolution around the GameFi and the DeFi elements. And what I see as the technological advancement is the ability for the games to adopt third-party tooling, right? So a lot of different tools are getting created, let's say for betting, or let's say you can think of turf also, right? This whole esports infrastructure is built in isolation from the different games, right? So these kind of technological advancement in terms of toolings where DeFi can come in, where let's say esports infrastructure can come in, are something that is actually taking the Web3 gaming to the next level, right? If you see that does Web3 games have a really great gamers experience? Maybe not yet, but when it comes with the power of different type of toolings, right? The ability of let's say DeFi protocols getting merged with the uh, game theories that are there already in the game, and the different toolings that different platforms can provide for that particular game, is making the ecosystem big, right? And it's expanding the ecosystem as a let's say if you're a game, right? You are constrained in a Web2 ecosystem. But if you are a Web3 game, the new technological advancements can actually embrace your expansion into different levels, and all these things can be built in isolation, right? Because your data is on chain and all these different stuff. So what I feel is the third party toolings are one of the major technological focus and advancements that Web3 is pushing towards and making it to the next level.
Nice. I really like the point that you just said about being able to see on-chain data, because not only will you be able to tell what users are enjoying, but also you'll be able to kind of innovate and understand what you should do with the game to optimize their experience. World Challenge, you had a question or your hand up?
Yeah, I wanted to give my opinion on this topic because I think that sometimes in Web3 space we focus too much in the technology, and people inside Web3 knows that Web3 games are technically superior to normal games, no, in terms of technology. Obviously, we don't have the budget that these companies have at the time of producing, so sometimes we overestimate all this NFT ownership and stuff, and therefore I think that the biggest piece of technology that we have now in our hands to compete against big bosses of the industry, that at the end of the game is this the fight, the final fight is us against the classic industry to prove the customer that our games are better and that they can enjoy all this intellectual property, the ownership of the NFT, and so on. No, so basically, the AI it's something that it's allowing us to compete face to face with big companies that we cannot fight in different ways. No, for example, we can do now unlimited questions on World Challenge game for the players, and probably in the like 10 years ago, if we compete against Activision, even though if we have all the team finding creative questions to put on our game, we cannot fight against Activision. No, so I think that the biggest AI, it's the biggest technology and allows us to fight against all these big monsters of the industry.
Interesting. I have a question to ask you in regards to what you just said, but before I do that, Jake, I want to hear from you.
Right. So, yeah, completely agree to all the ideas and also the replies above. Just I'm just gonna add a bit more into it. So, I think right now we've seen like Web3 game studios and also the ecosystem players such as Avalanche or Immutable X trying to break their ways into the traditional games industry by having something like account abstraction where players don't need to sign up for any crypto wallets. They just open up the game, sign up with their emails and stuff, and they can immediately jump into enjoying the experience. So I think those kind of technology is really breakthrough and really kind of open the gates to the mass amount of players in the world. And also, I think some people mentioned about AI before. I think I've seen some like game studio, especially Web3 game studios right now. They're working on doing stuff with the AI agents, generative AIs, where you can basically train and form your NPC inside the game. You can talk to them, you can ask them questions, you can instruct them to do stuff for you. And that's something like we have not seen before in traditional games. And now we're starting to see the Web3 gaming studio pick up the pace pretty quick. Um, I think it's really excited to keep our eyes on how we're kind of pushing the boundary in terms of like artificial intelligence and the real world.
Interesting. Yeah. AI seems to be the core of the innovation of what gaming is going to be. And I'd like to get into that a little bit more with the next question is how do you guys see AI playing into the user experience, whether it be in the game or whether it be, a way for AI to scrub out all the bots? How do you see the experience of AI integrating into Web3 gaming? Yeah, please. Tony.
Okay, so I see it in two different ways. No, one is that we are able to make better games since we have AI. With smaller teams, we can do something bigger. No, and on the second hand, there's a lot of PvP player, but there's also these people that, like normally old people. I don't want to offend no one, but it's how my father plays games. He against the machine. No, I want to play Risk, but I want to play it on my own with no pressure. So obviously the AI, we call it AI in the games for a reason, no? When you play against the machine, it's AI, and this is something that it's gonna improve in a crazy manner, no? We've seen these video games now that are coming that you can interact. I don't know if you've seen the game of you're a vampire that tries to get into people's houses to eat them, and you have a real conversation with them. So that's completely awesome in the player versus environment context, no? And I think that these are going to be the two big things. The one is how we can do better products and with a cheaper, with little resources, and in the other hand, the player versus environment.
Interesting. Yeah, Dibs, please. Turf, Dibs. Turf Games.
Yeah. So I got some pointers, right? When Tony was mentioning about the interaction with the game. So one of the interesting thing that came up a few days ago, right, that was adaptive interaction. So whenever, let's say my father is playing the same game, right, and let's say an adult is playing the same game and a small child is playing the same game, right? And let it be Web 2 or Web 3, whatever it is. But this is one interesting thing that the language, right, how they are conveying the message to an adult and how they're conveying the message to a small child, right? It's totally different. It's going to be very much different. And these things are getting adapted in a way, in an instantaneous manner, in terms of at what age that person is playing or whatever it is. So from the perspective of games that is actually serving a very niche group of audience who are under a very, I would say, vulnerable age. I would say from this point of view, AI is doing much more in terms of how they are interacting with that uh, particular person, right? And it's not just about the interaction, but how exactly it's adapting its whole levels, and at the same time, how exactly it's understanding, right? How exactly your proficiency is, and giving a report to at the end, let's say to their parents or something like that, on how exactly their cognitive mind is working. So these are some few things that are really getting more interesting in this ecosystem, where AI can do much more than just actually uh, improving the gameplay and all, but it's playing with your cognitive mind. So that's pretty much interesting thing that came up to my mind when Tony mentioned about how exactly interaction is happening with AI. So that's pretty much amazing.
Awesome. It sounds like AI is the missing piece to the puzzle behind Web3 gaming. Soulbound,
Yeah.
Chewy.
Yeah, AI really interests me. 3 years ago, I was part of a team looking at AI worlds, and I was helping as a prompt engineer, for a better word, even though I don't feel like an engineer. But it was quite an interesting kind of like experience, because I got to see firsthand some of the developments from there. I think one of the most interesting things for me, I think, as from a gamer perspective, right, is the anti-cheat, essentially the potential for AI algorithms to be able to kind of like detect cheating behaviors. I think with the current models at the moment, what happens is that there's kind of like a really bad algorithm that's sort of checking players, and if people are kind of reported it enough times, we see it on X as well. Like if people are reported enough times, that person's usually kind of like suspended. So with AI, I think that it could become a lot more intelligent in identifying kind of like cheaters, and also adapting to kind of like cheaters as well. Maybe like I thought it was really funny. This guy that I was working with, he said, "How cool would it be if we could just take all the cheaters and stick them into their own lobby?" So basically, if you catch a cheater, then they can't play on the real kind of like on the leaderboard kind of games, but they're stuck into kind of like a game just with other cheaters, and just slowly they'll all get very frustrated, and probably stop playing the game. So which I thought was a really funny thing. So maybe you don't even know you've been caught, and all of a sudden you're just getting aimbotted left, right, and center. So that, I think that's kind of like one thing. The amongst thousands of other things, I think the other thing that really interests me is just basically the analytical side of things as well, because I think unless there's someone in there that's kind of like actively looking for stats, or actively moderating, or actively there's something that's kind of like a component. What's cool with AI is that it could actually be used as a really cool analytical kind of tool as well, for even kind of like developing economies as well. So someone in a previous space gave a great example about if this if this kind of like resource was quite low essentially in the game and people weren't trading it, the algorithm could decide, actually let's spawn a few more of these nodes and actually a lot less of those nodes and stuff. So constantly the algorithm could adapt to the economy, making it a sustainable economy as well.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really totally agree with what you said. I think previously the concept of like AI in game, especially in the NTG system, is mostly done by the big companies. The one common case is Valve, where they have Vagnet that trains uh, like AI continuously 24/7, trying to learn the behavior of the players and then try to ban them. And even though it's still not working as intended, as we can still see um, like cheers all around the Counter Strike scene. But I think in very near future, where AI become mainstream and where the company, the individual can feed the data into it, I think we can start seeing like services where you can start training the AI for your own NTG system, where they can learn about the game, they can learn about the behavior of the players, they can start detecting cheats, and that can make like the experience much more safer, especially where the opportunities are open to all the game developers out there on the market.
Well, from my side is that I really agree with from Soulbound. The analytic tools that which is AI driven, that's in a way that we look into that a lot because we believe that the analytical side is kind of quite important in the Web3 sector. And how AI driven is that how that the data can be driven under artificial intelligence when a lot of people actually like to get into
Is my
the data
is
about
the
that.
space frozen or?
Oh, hey, um, I can hear Mag. Can diverse? Can you not hear Mag?
No, I only hear you. I cannot hear anything from Mac.
Oh, okay, I can hear Mag
Really, you
just
can't
fine.
hear?
Hmm.
He might
Weird.
need to go down and come back up. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
can hear you. Go ahead, Mag. Sorry about that.
Yeah, and then most people actually focuses on the AI side is that the interaction between the users and the artificial intelligence. We give them more interactions with the users when they are playing the Web3 gaming. But what we're focusing on is that its viewer is actually an AI-driven analytical tool. So feel free to check out that. With that is because what we're focusing is that how does the fully on-chain game sector survive in this sector, and how is that evolved in this Web3 sector? Yeah.
Gotcha. Interesting. There. It sounds like there's just like an infinite amount of ways, and I heard a metric the other day that a lot of companies and the majority of companies, as they should be, are going to convert to using AI technology to completely transition and change the way they do things. And I see the gaming industry doing the same exact thing. And I'm obviously this is like the topic of that we're talking about. And so my next question, and this might even tie into AI, probably does, but how can games create a sustainable economic model to benefit users, not only for the short term, but for the long term?
Sorry, how can we create a model to benefit players on the long term?
Yeah, the question was, how can Web3 games create sustainable economic models that benefit users, not only short term, but long term?
Well, I think that the mistake we have committed here is that it's something already existing from the years and the years, no? And it's a competitive system. I mean, if a game has a normal and recurrent income because people enjoys playing it, no? So people spends money. Then you can take part of that money to reward the best people or the most engaged people on the game, no? For example, that's the case of Dragon City, that it's not a competitive game, but there was a woman who spent 300K buying dragons, and the company decided to make a dragon for her, no? So I think that it's easy to reward the community, but this play to earn sustainable model, it's impossible in the moment that there's more people leaving than entering a game, and that will eventually happen. So it's not sustainable. You can put it as a way to start the game. You can use some of the funds of the company to start a play to earn system to find your players, no, your initial community, and they will be rewarded for betting for your game. But not as a system sustainable on the long term, unless that you are getting some income that you reward to some players.
What was her name? Khaleesi.
No, I don't know. I think she was not that hot.
I'm so glad two people got that reference.
I mean, it's a kind of like a trend, like people start to paying and then spending money on the GameFi sector, and in a way that I think why do people start focusing on Web3 gaming is that because everyone sees the potential of it. Is that at the meantime, the Web3 gaming sector is still in a very starting area, the developing stage, and a lot of people think that there are a lot of potentials in this sector. That's why people are start to spend a lot of money in the GameFi. And how to make it sustainable is that the the tokenomics, the economic model is that how does that make everything sustainable, which is the utility of the tokens, the development of a project, how is that going on and on with the roadmap on hand. With this is that the utility of the NFTs, the tokens, the tools in it, and how do you develop the game on and on with more games into it. You grab more kind of projects into the partnerships, and how do you expand the actually like the biscuit? How do you make it bigger and bigger to have more kind of co-joint projects together?
Got you. And turf gaming, please.
So, one of the things that I would say is like play. I'm not a big fan of play to earn models because this is not something that can create a sustainable economic model, right? Where you're just minting and rewarding for being. It's like an engagement farming thing, right? And that mostly attracts seed farmers. One of the things, I would say two of the things that I'm totally bullish on is first is creating a economic model around the competitive aspect of a particular game, right? Where the whole esports economy that was there operating for the Web2 industry can come aboard for any Web2 Web3 game and create a standardized approach for every Web3 games to get integrated, right? That's what we are doing. And one of the crucial factors that I see when it comes to sustainable economic models is the cross game interoperability, right? So, what I mean by cross game interoperability is, let's say, we think of 99% of the games does have a very small life cycle, right? Where they get the game out, a lot of people play, and afterwards, uh, they don't play it, right? The fan base comes down drastically. What can be done is whenever the IP holders, right, the developers who are actually building, they keep on building new games to keep their uh, new user base engaged. What I see is when the transition is happening from an old game to new game, what if we can create an incentivization model in terms of, let's say, hey, you have played my old game, why don't you try my new game? And there is a incentive model that is getting transferred from that old game to a new game, and earlier it was not at all possible for that particular transition, right? So this cross game interoperability, I would say, is one of the things that can create a sustainable economic models for the IP holders as well as in terms of their user engagement. So I feel that these two things, like not talking about play to earn, but compete to earn, and creating a cross game interoperable environment where cascaded games from a single developer or from multiple developers benefits from the user base that was there, right? And all the users can get incentivized in the whole model. That can roll out for a bigger and a longer run with the particular gamer, basically, right? So these are the things I see, like, can create more sustainable models rather than just play to earn.
Got you, Chewy.
Yeah, I actually really agree with that as well. What Turp was saying there, like I think just to give a completely different perspective as well. Like, I mean, um, I, I think it's sort of like sometimes overlooked in terms of what Web2 games and how, there's certain games that people just go back to again and again. Besides the huge kind of like fun element of actually playing the game, um, there's also what kind of like draws you back as well, and that's just basically new content. Um, you see with Fortnite, I mean, they roughly make 3 million a day, 3 million USD a day, selling, from their shop, which is kind of like skins and avatars and stuff. And, with their expanding kind of like sort of like Lego metaverse that they're developing, that's probably going to expand even further as well. So I do think that having some sort of kind of like battle pass system in where you're kind of like generating new income through a different kind of a stream, in it just makes perfect sense in blockchain tech, because you're able to kind of deliver these assets, as non-fungible tokens or as on-chain data, and so having that kind of like battle pass system, I think, can really help to kind of like keep a game sustainable and more interesting, and incentivize kind of like players in with a long term strategy. If we're talking about kind of like in-game economies, I think it's always a contentious thing about having kind of like a balanced resource generation, and there's loads of MMOs that I've played in the past where you go in and all of a sudden you're basically kind of like you're stacking up on this resource, and you go to the market, common market, and you're basically selling it for absolute pennies compared to some of the other resource. So I think it's really good to have some sort of kind of like resource sync, and where players can sort of like sink their coins in. And one of the biggest mistakes a lot of game studios do is not tying in the in-game economy system to things like skins and things like that, and that can really kind of like propel a game as well. And I think Fortnite does it right with V-Bucks, and Roblox does it quite right with Robux. So I think we can learn from those models and then see how we can adapt them into Web3.
So the consensus of this, I see that free to play games is a way, obviously, to track users. But there's so many free to play games, like you said, like Fortnite, Rocket League, Roblox, all these massive games. But like, what distinguished them for users to want to come play? They didn't want to join to earn. They joined to have fun and play. Like, what brought them to those games?
Fun. I think it's fun. I mean,
Okay.
it's like
That's exactly, yeah.
it's. I think that's something sometimes we forget. I've seen a lot of games building from the inside out. They start with the tech and they build out. I did this kind of like Venn diagram of a couple of years, 3 years ago, I think it was now, and I said that the future of Web3 gaming, this is the Venn diagram, really good gameplay, terrible economies, and on the other side was really good tokenomics, terrible sort of gameplay. And then there was, that they overlapped, and there was like literally just a little slither, and there was just one or two kind of spots in it essentially. And I think that's where kind of like that's where we were at, about 3 years ago. I think that Venn diagram is slowly kind of like merging together as people are testing new models, trying new things and stuff. And it is a very experimental kind of phase at the moment still. But I really do feel that someone's going to absolutely kind of like nail it at some point, and some game in Web3 is just going to absolutely rock it. And that model will then become kind of like the template for some some fantastic games for the future as well.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. And I know like some games have tried to integrate, a Web3 kind of vibe. And it just hasn't like hit for some reason. And it's just like at the beginning of game development, in indie games, back in the day, I feel the same kind of vibe, with the early development of games in the 90s and the early 2000s. Like that was like it took a long time for us to get here, but I feel like Web3 gaming is like in that early stages of just trying to figure out how to structure everything and provide the users with an easy way to participate and have fun. Um, so that's just my take on it. So
I mean, you do actually make a really good point. So I grew up I was born in the 70s, so I grew up in the 80s. So I was a very kind of like, I was in the arcades. I also I did my first tournament when I was 8. It was a global tournament for Donkey Kong. If anyone here remembers it, fantastic.
love it.
And and yeah,
Absolutely.
and it was insane because like like there was no kind of like internet, there was no kind of like LAN was just kind of like spoken about, just about kind of thing. And so yeah, so it was an interesting phase. But like I'll tell you now, none of those kind of game developers that started kind of like doing Arkanoid or Pac-Man or any of those games actually turned around and went, oh, how are we going to make the most amount of money? Actually, Pac-Man actually lost money, right? It's like in its development. So basically, it was only later on that they started to make money. So like, so I think it's kind of, bringing the fun back as well. And you mentioned that, the 2000s as well. I mean, oh God, what a great kind of like era for games. I mean, it's when Call of Duty came out, Grand Theft Auto hit the market, Fallout, Halo, all these fantastic games.
Oh, you mentioned my love, Halo. I loved Halo 3 was my favorite. But yeah, you mentioned so many awesome games, and it just goes to show you the time and the resources and the consistency that it takes to bring something to life that people want to truly. And gamers are more prevalent now than they ever have been before. So the shift, whenever it does happen, is just going to be absolutely monument, just massive compared to what it was, that we've seen in the history of gaming. So that's going to be exciting. And so whenever it comes to like communities and social interactions, I know that blockchain is a really great way to merge all that stuff together and understand what users are enjoying in the game, what users are interacting with on social media, connecting all those together to ensure that you're providing users with the best experience and with the most fun. So with Web3, um, how do you guys see like merging all that together to provide a user with the best experience possible? Like I know there's a lot of different there was a lot of different questions in that, but using like using digital ownership and the ability to trade NFTs, providing a competitive edge in traditional gaming, You know, like being able to provide users and allow them to earn, you know, based off of their ability to interact in the game and on social media. So how do you guys see like digital ownership playing into that World Challenge?
Yeah, well, I think it's very interesting because we are coming back to the past. Let's say that when we started interacting with games, they were very personal, no? A ball and you against the other, then trading card games of football, soccer, no? And technology has been separating us for a long, long time. And somehow now with, well, I don't want to mention the word metaverse again, no? But metaverse, NFT, digital ownership, all these things kind of now the technology it's moving us to trading again with other users, no? To be able to change a sandwich for an NFT, like it used to be when our parents were playing football on the playground. So I think that it's gonna be humanized, let's say, no? We have been separated from our primal relationships on terms of gaming from the beginning, and now this technology allows us to be more human. Even metaverse and NFTs, all these are coming back to the past, but with the tools of the future.
Yeah, I completely agree with what he just said. I think a really NFT just enable a whole new level of cross trading and trading digital items across the entire world. Unlike where previously you like items such as we used to actually we're still trading cards nowadays. People are still shipping cards across the continent and so forth. I think digital NFTs actually just make it go up another notch, and actually it scales pretty quick. But for me, as a gamer, a hardcore gamer, I think the digital ownership of the items actually only going to work only when the product behind it is a good one or at least a successful one. I mean, it does not make any sense, and especially the NFTs are worthless if the company behind the NFTs go bankrupt, or the company behind the NFTs decide to scam the people or to rob the market. I think regardless of the technology, regardless of how awesome NFTs are, I think it all comes down to the actual value that the product or the game or whatever behind the NFT can provide to the communities. And I think that's the most important thing, and we seems to just forgot about it in 2021, where everything just go haywire. People buying a rock for millions of dollars for nothing. I think. I mean, obviously, NFT already crashed to the normal level right now, and that's a good thing, right? I mean, we can see that the vaporware and also the bubbles has burst, and now it's more like a time where people um, like can start building the true value and also deliver the true product and experience to the community using the digital ownership in its correct way. Um, yeah, I think um, NFT is actually something um, where it provides and also another way of interoperability. I think in games, for instance, like in Fortnite, I think in traditional gaming, like the concept of one game partnering with another game is still relatively new. I think like Fortnite partnering with Disney. I think it usually just happen in the enterprise or the AAA level, and most of the time the small companies or the medium ones don't actually get to do it in a quick and simple way. While for NFTs in general, I think that's pretty straightforward. We have seen like communities working together like seamlessly. Azuki working with PUBG Penguin, Nifty Island working with multiple IPs in the NFT ecosystem, and all that are done basically pretty quick and also pretty seamless as well. I think that's the true that's actually the true power and also the true advantage of the of NFTs. Yeah, so yeah, anyway, the NFTs I think are a great way of actually exchanging value and connecting the communities. I think that it's going to keep growing and growing more and more. Now that the bubble has burst, I think the builders will step up and yeah, bringing on a whole new experience for everyone.
Hmm. Oh, Mac, please.
Speaking about the rock, is that how the Web3 gaming is that after the burst of the NFTs, people start to realize the utility of the NFTs is most important to sustain the values of NFTs, right? So if you're in the Web3 gaming sector, is that the economic model, the tokenomics, and how does the ecosystem brings in the value of the NFTs, and how the people do the gamifications around the systems, um, will bring in more values into the game, the NFTs, as well as this sector. Well, I actually agree very much on the early stage of the GameFi, the Web3 gaming, that the more early it is, and when people realize it's really early, that's why the potential built up there with more and more people start to realize that this area and this sector in the space is kind of evolving. That's how the values of a GameFi comes in.
Sure. Yeah, and I just want to go back to the digital ownership, being able to, like, whenever a game is able to collaborate with another game and provide their users with a NFT to be able to migrate from game to game and be able to play and monetize their time all on different platforms. I think that's a really, really cool concept. And I think that those kind of things, that kind of infrastructure will really incentivize people to want to participate in that kind of digital ownership, because why wouldn't you want to? Whenever you're playing, say just back in the day, say you're playing Pac-Man, say you're playing Donkey Kong, say you're playing Mario Kart, say you're playing all these different games, but you're spending all this time on these different games, but you have one NFT to operate on all of those games, and all of the rewards and all of the participation and all the time that you dedicated into all those games goes into that NFT. That NFT now becomes very valuable, not only to you, as a user, because it shows what's going on and the metrics, but also, if you're ready to move on to another game, you just sell it on the open market. There's just so many different ways to monetize your time and history in the space. So my next question to you guys is, what would be the next like major breakthrough in Web3? What do you guys see in the future?
So that's quite a big question.
Yes, it is.
Divas,
I
I
think
heard you talking. Yeah, go.
yeah. So I think it's more or less about the execution now. I think we already have the technology to push through and break through the barrier between the Web3 and the Web2 gamers. And also, we do have quite a lot of capitals right now in the space to fuel, also to fuel the development of the product. So it all comes down to the execution and the game design, especially in the near term. Um, so the right now we're still seeing quite some hatred, or at least some kind of disparity between the traditional gamers and Web3. You can already see that on Steam, right? I mean, there are quite some products, Web3 games product launching on Steam, even though they already kind of removed the NFT and the crypto aspect of it. But once the players find out about that game contains crypto or NFT in it, they will start to bash it, like continuously on the reviews. You can also see them on YouTube's where People keep saying this game has NFT, it's not worth playing, it's vaporware, it's cash grab products. So I think that's the major breakthrough we need to tackle in the Web3 gaming space. We need to kind of remove the like the barrier between the gamers right now. We need to remove the hatred. We need to prove them that Web3 gaming is just like any other games in the world. It must be fun to play. It must has a high retention rate. It must provide the users with experience that they don't have in Web2 game, but at the same time still enjoy the journey of like running through the world or battling against the players. I think that's the most major breakthrough we will start to see in Web3 gaming in the next few years. Actually, we already see some right now on the market, but I think in 2024 and the next 2 years, we will start to see more and more Web3 gaming penetrate into the game industry.
Nice. Dibs?
One of the crucial thing that I have been watching is like obviously improved gameplay is one of the things, right, that Web3 gaming will be adopting, and a lot of games are actually working on that right now that will be released in the next 1.5 year, right? One of the crucial thing that I have been seeing is how exactly people are creating their fan base, right? Not yield farmers, where most of in most of the games that are attracting yield farmers, I would see this breakthrough, right, as a more of a community building or a more of fan base building uh, angle, where people will be more reluctant towards, hey, I'm a hardcore fan of this particular game, and they don't even realize that it's a Web3 game, right? That's the level of proficiency I'm looking up to when I see that, hey, there is an in-game economy that you are leveraging. You're not really realizing it's a Web3 game, right? And it has the core of fan base, like, hey, I am married to this game kind of thing that most of the tier one players have, right? For let's say Valorant or League of Legends. So that sense of community building from a sentimental point of view is something I'm looking up to as the breakthrough for the Web3 gaming space.
Definitely. Does somebody else have their hand up?
From outside, we believe that the fully on-chain game sector would outburst soon. It's like the previous DeFi summer, and a fully on-chain game, fully on-chain decentralized area will come soon. And what Metaland X have been doing is that we'll kind of change our Web 2.5 game into a Web 3.0, a fully on-chain game with dipping and ZEX technology. We hope to have our own network, our chain. We hope that our platform can have more and more games into our platform to aggregate everything together to provide more combinations and potentials in our projects.
Nice. Soulbound, did you have your hand up a second ago? Maybe I'm making it up. I'm not sure. But if you guys have any other closing remarks about that question.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really fast on this. I think IP is gonna be the big IP, meaning I don't know, Disney and all this entering the Web3. It's probably gonna be the next breakthrough.
Nice. Well, I need to do some more research on that. And I think that's about it for me today, guys. If there's any questions you guys have for the panel, just stop me, interrupt me while I'm closing this space down. But thanks so much, everybody, for coming. It was really nice meeting you guys. It was nice learning from you guys. Since you guys are building, it's really insightful to really get some experience, some firsthand experience from your outlooks. So thanks so much for that. And if anybody has any closing remarks before we end the space, please jump up here and say it.
No, I just want to say thank you for inviting us and talking on the show as well. It's been a really interesting conversation, to be honest.
Yeah, thanks for inviting, and I'm happy to be connected to all our speakers.
Pleasure to be here, guys. Like, would love to. Obviously, all the speakers out here would love to collaborate in terms of how exactly we can do things and explore the competitive edge, and obviously the audience as well.
Yeah, thanks for the space. Enjoyed a lot, and I hope to talk more with these experts today. So, well, uh, open to contact, any collaboration, etc., etc. And thank you for having us.
Amazing, amazing guys. Thanks so much again. And I'll be in contact with you guys. I'm always talking with new Web3 games and interesting individuals that are building. I'll definitely put them in contact with you if I come up with a collaboration offer. Considering that's basically all I do 24/7, which I love doing. But it was a pleasure meeting everybody. And till the next time we talk on a space, we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.